The OK Corral Gunfight, a mere 30 seconds of turmoil that epitomized the Wild West. But what if everything you have been led to believe is false? This evening, we will delve into the depths of history to reveal 10 unsettling truths they wish to keep hidden from you. The reality of Wyatt Herb's offenses, the blatant hypocrisy of the gravestones of so-called heroes, and the astonishing conspiracy that transformed a barren lot into a scene of carnage. Why did 2,300 individuals grieve for the men labeled as outlaws? How did a solitary stagecoach robbery spark a conflict? And why was the actual confrontation not even at the OK Corral? This narrative does not revolve around heroes and villains. It is the untold story of avarice, treachery, and revenge that America sought to erase from memory. Prepare yourself. By the conclusion of this video, your perception of the Wild West will be forever altered. Prior to commencing, please remember to like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. The Old Kindersley. The OK Corral functioned as a livery stable on Tombstone's Fremont Street from 1879 to 1888. Curiously, the infamous battle associated with its name did not actually occur within or near the corral itself. Instead, the violence broke out in an empty lot next to C.S. Fly's photography studio and boarding house, located 6 storefronts away from the corral. Doc Holliday, the notorious gunslinger suffering from tuberculosis, who had forsaken dentistry, was residing at Fly's boarding house during this time. Ike Clanton, a key instigator of the conflict, sought refuge in Fly's studio during the gunfire, as did Cochise County Sheriff John Behan, the one individual who could have potentially averted the bloodshed. Fly's photographs of Tombstone from the late 1800s are, interestingly, now invaluable assets for examining the Wild West period. Although Fly did not capture the battle or its aftermath in photographs, he did play a minor role. He removed firearms from the mortally wounded Billy Clanton. The exact reason the shootout became associated with the OK Corral remains a mystery, but it is likely due to the fact that the gunfight near Fly's photography studio and boarding house lacks the same appeal. During its most tumultuous times, Tombstone, Arizona, was a volatile center of conflicting factions and rising tensions, teetering on the brink of chaos. It was also infamous for its lawlessness. In the late 1870s and early 1880s, the town featured 2 dance halls, more than 20 saloons, a dozen gambling establishments, and, as one local wryly observed, precisely 2 Bibles. Tombstone began as a solitary settlement, a military outpost in search of wealth in the Dragoon Mountains. Friends warned that, given the large Apache population in the vicinity, he might as well be digging his own grave. Nevertheless, he defied the odds by discovering a rich silver vein that he named Tombstone. A community quickly formed around his fortune. By 1880, the area was alive with wagons, horses, prospectors, women in the sex trade, and ambitious political aspirants. Brothels and saloons flourished. Miners also prospered. For 7 years, riches were extracted from the ground until increasing groundwater levels brought mining to a halt. Tombstone experienced repeated cycles of boom and bust, later earning the moniker, "the town too tough to die," for its resilience during the Great Depression. The Earp brothers, Wyatt, Virgil, and Morgan, along with John Henry Doc Holliday, are frequently depicted as the heroes of the shootout, while their adversaries, the Cochise County Cowboys, are portrayed as mere outlaws. However, the truth is much more complex. Notably, Wyatt Earp, the most renowned figure, arrived in Tombstone as a fugitive seeking to escape justice, with the intention of capitalizing on silver. In his younger days, Wyatt had stolen a horse from indigenous lands, escaped from custody, and wandered from town to town and brothel to brothel. The leaders of the Cowboys, Tom and Frank McClory, came from Iowa in search of affordable grazing land for their cattle. They were no more corrupt than numerous other ranchers who migrated westward during the 1870s to 80s, motivated by manifest destiny. The conflict between the Earps and the Cowboys was partly rooted in ordinary motives. The Cowboys supported Sheriff Behan, while Wyatt aspired to take Behan's position. At the same time, Virgil Earp, who served as Tombstone's acting marshal, rigorously enforced gun control laws, a stance that was unpopular among the armed cowboys. Tensions inevitably escalated. Yet this narrative lacks definitive heroes or villains. It is a tale of ambitious individuals seeking power and profit on the uncertain fringes of the frontier. In March 1881, 7 months before the shootout, masked bandits executed a robbery on the Sandy Bob stagecoach. The Earps accused the McClory brothers of planning the heist. Conversely, the McClorys firmly believed that the Earps and Doc Holliday were behind the crime. During this time, Virgil Earp engaged in secret negotiations with cowboy member Ike Clanton. Virgil, seeking to enhance his tough-on-crime reputation ahead of the elections, assured Ike that he would receive the full reward money if he surrendered the outlaws, without any scrutiny of Clanton's methods. Clanton consented, but the plan fell apart when targets King, Leonard, and Crane were killed before Virgil could capture them. Subsequently, Wyatt Earp, who was also campaigning for office, proposed a scheme to Ike Clanton to stage a fake stagecoach robbery. Wyatt and Holliday would frighten off the mock thieves, ensuring that no one was harmed. Clanton dismissed the idea, further intensifying the animosity between the factions. Tensions reached a peak in early October when the Earps imprisoned cowboys Frank Stillwell and Keith Spence for robbing a Bisbee stagecoach, prompting the cowboys to vow retaliation. Retribution arrived swiftly. While Wyatt Earp often takes center stage in films and retellings of the gunfight, historians generally contend that Virgil Earp was the true stalwart of this frontier conflict. Virgil had served as a Union infantryman during the Civil War before reuniting with his brothers Wyatt and Morgan in the West. He established himself as a practical officer, obtaining law enforcement positions in Prescott, Arizona, and subsequently in Tombstone. His objective there was to reduce the series of stagecoach robberies affecting the area, supported by his remarkable shooting skills. Along the way, he escalated tensions by insisting that the cowboys hand over their weapons. "Hands up, I'm here to disarm you." They declined. Gunfire erupted, and Virgil continued to fire even after sustaining a bullet wound to his leg. Although Wyatt's legend eclipsed his own, it was Virgil, seasoned by both war and duty, who exemplified determination amidst disorder, valuing stability over fame. His actions that day highlighted the resilience required in a lawless environment. The exact firearms utilized in the Corral Gunfight remain uncertain, although experts generally concur that they were black powder weapons. The dense smoke produced by these firearms would have exacerbated the chaos of an already tumultuous confrontation. Over the years, antique firearm dealers have profited significantly from auctioning weapons purported to have been present during that event. For instance, a Colt 45 single-action revolver, reportedly belonging to Wyatt Earp, fetched $225,000, while a shotgun allegedly used by Holliday sold for $150,000. Nevertheless, the authenticity of these weapons is still debated. Law enforcement officials of that time typically carried single-action revolvers, and it is believed that Holliday utilized a 10-gauge, double-barreled shotgun, which was a gift from Virgil. The cowboys claimed they were unarmed during the confrontation, with the exception of Ike Clanton and Billy Clyburn, who escaped, but this claim was clearly false. Frank McClary and Billy Clanton were found dead at the scene, each clutching Colt Frontier revolvers. However, Tom McClary's death was almost certainly the result of a shot fired from Holliday's weapon. His body bore no fewer than 12 buckshot wounds. Virgil's effort to disarm the group evidently failed. The Cochise County Cowboys, depicted as foes of the Earps, are frequently portrayed as merciless killers in popular narratives. However, the majority of residents perceive them not as malevolent individuals, but rather as disruptive troublemakers. At their height, this loosely structured group, consisting of approximately 300 members, primarily engaged in livestock theft and minor offenses. They traversed the settlements of Arizona, brandishing firearms to instill fear in the townspeople, especially women, children, and members of the clergy. Their conflict with the Earps escalated as the law enforcement sought to assert control over the faction. Between 1879 and the confrontation in 1881, increasing skirmishes, horse thefts, vendettas, and acts of retaliation painted the McClarys, Clantons, and their fellow cowboys in a negative light. Nevertheless, historical representations may be inaccurate. Ike Clanton, often demonized as the primary villain of the narrative, operated a modest eatery. In contrast, Tom McClary did not carry a weapon during the shootout. This situation prompts further inquiry. Were the cowboys genuinely the nefarious figures depicted in stories? Evidence indicates that their reputation for malevolence may have been exaggerated, with their actions being more boisterous than brutal, a noisy consequence of frontier existence rather than premeditated malice. Most narratives regarding the OK Corral incident attribute the blame for the violence squarely to cowboy Ike Clanton, who, according to legends, repeatedly threatened to kill the Earps for meddling in his cattle rustling activities. In the days leading up to the confrontation, tensions heightened as the Cowboys, the Earps, and Doc Holliday indulged in heavy drinking while hurling insults and threats at one another. Clanton was allegedly overheard in various saloons in Tombstone, proclaiming his intention to shoot the Earps once he obtained a firearm. However, Clanton was known for making empty threats, and according to his family's accounts, the Earps and Holliday were the actual aggressors, reportedly robbing stagecoaches without repercussions and targeting the Clantons and McClarys whenever possible. The truth likely merges both viewpoints. What is indisputable is that after a night filled with drunken bravado, the Earps and Holliday faced off against Clanton's faction in a historic shootout that resulted in the death of Ike's brother Billy, thereby solidifying Ike's reputation as a coward. In spite of his claims regarding his sharpshooting abilities, he chose to flee the scene of the confrontation, subsequently filing charges against the Earps and Holliday. All parties involved were acquitted. Ironically, Ike Clanton met his demise in 1887 during an encounter with law enforcement. Wyatt Herb famously described the Cochise County Cowboys as aimless outlaws and livestock thieves. Nevertheless, the town paid tribute to Billy Clanton and Tom and Frank McClure with a grand ceremony attracting over 2,300 mourners throughout the day-long memorial. The funeral procession extended for 2 blocks and included 300 individuals walking, 22 carriages, and numerous riders on horseback. A brass band led the solemn march to Boot Hill Cemetery, which is named for its inhabitants who died violent deaths, often with their boots still on from frontier skirmishes. While many legends of the Wild West are significantly exaggerated, the era surrounding the OK Corral shootout was marked by remarkable lawlessness. In the months leading up to and following the event, not a single individual faced criminal charges. Bandits plundered stagecoaches without facing any consequences or, as in the case of the alleged Sandy Bob robbery suspects, were killed before they could stand trial. Justice became a matter of personal vendetta. Following the acquittal of the Earps and Doc Holliday for the killings of Billy Clanton and the McClure brothers, Morgan Earp was murdered in a saloon. In response to his brother's assassination, Wyatt vowed to seek vengeance, forming a posse and initiating a ruthless campaign, executing Frank Stillwell and his accomplices without compassion. Thus, can it be considered justice or merely bloodshed cloaked in a badge? The OK Corral was not merely a confrontation between heroes and villains. It represented a volatile mix of greed, ambition, and deceit, resulting in the deaths of 3 men, a divided town, and a legend constructed upon remains. However, consider this. If Virgil was indeed the genuine hero, why has history obliterated him? If the Cowboys were not the monsters they are portrayed to be, why does Tombstone continue to profit from their notoriety? And if the gunfight did not even occur at the OK Corral, what other truths have we been misled about? The reality lies buried far deeper than silver. Which revelation disturbed you the most? Was Wyatt Earp a hero or the most cunning con man of the Wild West? And what unsavory truths is your hometown concealing?